We're here with the weekly cover price top 10 list. Let's take a look at what books made it and maybe why. Up next on this video from Bronzeville Comics. Hello, panelologists. This is Jim from Bronzeville Comics coming to you with another video. And in this video, we're going to talk about the Cover Price Top 10 list for this week. Cover Price is a comic book pricing service, which you pay a subscription, and it collects prices of both graded as well as raw books. Other popular pricing services only do graded books, and they do certain articles throughout the week and lists. And one of them they do that I've been covering for several months is the Cover Price Top 10. These are the 10 books that have been moving the most in the aftermarket. We're going to see this week. It's going to be mostly raw books because a lot of them are recent or have recently received speculation. There's a bit of a carryover from last week. We're going to start at number 10 on the list, and that is the issue number 1 of Revival from Image Comics in 1992. This book is going for about $25 up to $40 in raw, and 9.8 sales hovering under $100, but there was a 9.9 sale of $400. And if we look at this book, more historical data, a couple of auctions in July ended in $31 and $28. And then when announcement became more firm, $95 and $100. There are 846 copies on the census, and about 88% of those are 9.8 or better. Zombies must be making a comeback, or it's just spooky season. We have another zombie-centric title receiving mainstream attention with this book. It was announced earlier this year this series would get an adaptation from Sci-Fi, but the main cast was finally set last week, which set fire under collectors' behinds. We've been in a vicious cycle of adaptation announcements with no further information for years. A casting announcement makes things a little more concrete enough for fans on the fence to whip out their wallets. I'm not sure what the casting was. Now, for instance, the 4 kids walk into a bank, TV series. So this appears to be what it is, and not popular names. I'm not familiar with the names of any of these actors. Melanie Scrofano. What is she best known for? Winona Earp, Soft Sex, RoboCop, Man of Wife with Prosthetics. I guess she was the star of Winona Earp, something I have not watched. So not exactly like Liam Neeson was attached to 4 kids in a bank, and I think that gives people more confidence that you have a major star. Still doesn't mean it's going to make it all the way to the screen, either big or small. Let's go to number 9 on the list, and it's Thor, God of Thunder, number 6. This is reappearing from last week. It's a null cameo, and the origin of Gore. Of course, these books were really flying high leading up to the Thor God of Thunder, and they have crashed hard. You still have to pay, 40 or more bucks for a high grade raw, and now 9.8 is going for $150. If we look at this, the historical sales of a 9.8, I mean, it started off strong. I guess with the announcement of Love and Thunder. And then, we get to the comic boom, not even a comic boom, jumped to 615 before that, and then has been slowly coming down. And it was going down to just about 100, or even under 100 recently. And then the recent sales have been in the 150 range. There are 1,500 copies on the census, but less than half of them in 9.8. That just goes to show you when this book became popular during the comic boom. People were like throwing 9.6s, 9.4s, 9.2s, 9.0s in for grading because they still had value. They do no longer have that kind of value. I mean, you're going to get maybe double case cost, but if you add like a high grade $40 very fine or very fine near mint to case cost, that's about what you're getting. Again, one of these modern books, this is from 2013, that isn't really worth getting graded other than in a 9.8. And the reason for this is the Null. While Null wouldn't debut properly until 2018, he did first appear as an unnamed entity in a flashback in this book. It also featured the origin of Gore, one of the major wielders of the all-black Necrosword. Collectors have been securing all keys associated with Null and marveling at the breadcrumbs that eventually led to his first full appearance years down the road. Necrosword, I mean, Null they did a disservice to in the MCU. Is the Necrosword still around? Did we get its origins? Is it going to connect here? Probably not, because it's a Sony film. Let's go to number 8 on the list, and it is an associated book, Venom number 4, The Origin of Null and Nowhere, the Severed Head of a Celestial. Interestingly, Nowhere is the property of Marvel / Disney, whereas Null is the property of Sony, I suppose. I am not an expert on such legal matters, but $15 to $20 for a high grade raw, $60 for a 9.8. We see, again, it's kind of holding steady in that range. Not a lot of movement on this book right now. 733 universal copies, just under half of them in a 9.8. So again, comic boom book, people were getting it graded. Did we say symbiotes dominated this list? This issue features the origin of Null and is a more definitive version. While a character like Null, who's developed over the years through numerous titles, you need a book to tie them together. Collectors are looking at Venom number 4 to do so and willing to pay on the aftermarket. Plus, it also features the origin of Nowhere, the decapitated celestial head that rose in popularity thanks to the Guardians of the Galaxy making their home in the MCU. Let's go to number 6 on the list, Guardians of the Galaxy number 23, the first appearance of Klimtar, the symbiote planet. And this book a little heftier in price, but $20 for raw. But look at 9.8 going for $160. And that's a supply and demand at the moment kind of issue. Unlike the Venom 4 and the God of Thunder, Thor God of Thunder 6, those were books that became popular during the boom. So a lot of people submitted them. Nobody was really submitting this book. Only 70 copies on the census, 60% of them in a 9.8. And we could see, we have accepted sales in this range. Did this update? Actually, let me update this. I'm not sure. Yeah, now $201 sale. And that's really what's driving the value of this fair market value, so to speak, up. Again, supply and demand. Look at these eBay asks. 9.8, 325, 225. Those are the only 9.8s and 9.6s people are asking. 125 and 92. Again, small population, but there are probably plenty of high grade raws out there. And you got to be careful with a book like that. Again, 2015, there are going to be plenty of high grade raws, people digging through their Guardians of the Galaxy runs to see if it's there. The symbiotes reign supreme, but they started much smaller than what they have become. The book details the origin of the symbiotes and their home planet Klimtar. Obviously, with Null set to make his big screen debut, the lore of symbiotes has a magnifying glass over it. Before this book was released, there wasn't a definitive origin. This issue laid the groundwork for the Null storyline to come to fruition just a few years later, and fans are opting to snag all the major symbiote adjacent keys. Let's go to number 6 on the list. Incredible Hulk number 6. We get away from Null for a minute. This is the first appearance of Spirit of Vengeance from a century ago. And a 9.8 for 125. This book just came out. It did come out a year ago. I'm sorry. And this is the cover A. 25 bucks for a high grade book. Again, let's take a look. 12 on the census. 10 of them are 9.8s. So somebody wanted that 9.8 and they were willing to pay $1.25 for it. That doesn't mean a 9.8 is worth $125. It just means that there aren't many of them out there. 10 9.8s. Again, The raws are there. I think I have this in my collection. Maybe. I think I do. Anyway, we'll see where this lands. This is just kind of hot spec right now. The assembly. Oh no, what? This is a different list. Oh, I missed this one. I missed the Spider-Woman number 7. The assembly, composed of Titan, Cadet Marvel, Moonsquire, Liberty, and Hellrune, grew into a cool little team. That all came crashing down with issue number 10, revealing Titan was secretly the villain Gremlin all along. One of the major implications was who would survive and go on to become a member of the new champions. Whenever new heroes rise in popularity, collectors tend to revisit their early years and early tribulations. So this book, let me see. What number was that? Let's investigate. I'm sorry about that. Usually I don't miss them. Spider-Woman number 7. You know, these again, it's a hot book, but it's a recent book. It just came out. First team appearance of the assembly. There are a couple of variants by Peach Momoko, but they don't have anything to do with the assembly. And the Todd Knock cover and the second print by Paco Medina, they do. $10 book. Okay. Let's go to number 5 on the list. Right. That was number 6. Oh, we did number 5 with Incredible Hulk 6. Let's go to number 4 on the list. 4. And this is New Avengers number 33. The first appearance of a final incursion event. $20 raw, $110 for a 9.8. But if we look at the Go Collect data, we did have a $110 sale. It was the first sale in 6 months, so it's a one-off. Again, much like some of these newer books, the Guardians of the Galaxy book, for instance. This is a book from 2015 as well. 30 universal copies, 17 9/8s, 10 9/6s. Supply and demand. If somebody really wants a 9/8, they're going to have to pay for it because there aren't many out there. If somebody has a little bit of patience, you can find it. Much was made about the recent Ultimates number 4 issue and how that would tie Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom into the MCU, or at least how that scenario came to be. However, one of the major themes tossed around is incursions. Fans shift their attention to this book, where the seeds of said incursion began in issue number 1, but it paid off in this issue, paired with a fantastic Doom cover by Gabriel Del Otto. Collectors feel obliged to take a second look. Let's go to number 3 on the list. And this book, the variant, and it's the first cover appearance of Null, the Ryan Stegman third print, and this is the pricey one. A couple hundred bucks for a raw, high-grade copy, $400 for a CGC 9.8. There are still 1,900 on the census, and 80% of them are 9/8s. And if we track this, right, 2020 it went up to 800, and then it's come down, and then recently it went from about 250 to 400, and it's been in that 400 range, right? 350 to 400. It's a third printing, so there are fewer of them. It's an awesome cover of Null, and I guess any of the, you'd want, if you're a Null fan, this makes more sense than the first print, or the second print. Even the first print is great, but it's not a Null cover. This is a Null cover. Since fans spotted Null in the Venom 3 Last Dance trailer, it's been a frenzy as fans track down the symbiote's God's first appearance. However, the first printing has exploded in value since the trailer, quickly growing out of reach for collectors. But the third printing is giving it a run for its money. The third printing of 4 is the only cover to feature Null front and center, and has quickly become the book collectors are aiming for. Luckily, Marvel felt obliged to deliver hefty numbers of this third printing. So they're out there, but the price of admission has drastically increased. Keep your eye out on it. Again, it's a recent book. Somebody could have it at a garage sale or something. Let's go to number 2 on the list. And this is Ghost Rider number 19, the variant by Luciano Vecchio, which is the first appearance of Phantasm on the cover. Cover A is cheaper. The 1 in 25 does have a ratio value, but this is a $30 book. No 9/8s yet because it just came out. It did come out in October. And I think I looked at the data, and there's no census data. Actually, is there census? That's not even the variant. Is there census data on the variant? Oh, there are three copies, and one sold soon after it came out, a recorded sale of $51. So not a whole lot to go on, and there are only three out there. To celebrate Hispanic and Latin America Month, Marvel utilized one of its most popular characters, Robbie Ray, as Ghost Rider to reveal a new hero. Well, not completely new. We'll see the full debut of Phantasm in the upcoming Robbie Reyes special, but her first cover appearance was in this book and part of the new Champions variant rollout. Now that she's getting a proper debut, fans are returning to her first appearance in droves before the book drops. Before the new, I don't think I mean before the price drops, before the Robbie Reyes special drops. These new champions were featured in variant covers in different titles. This is one of them. And this, when did this book come out? Last year in October. Okay, let's look at number one on the list. And it is Mark Spears' Monsters #1 by Keenspot, the Cover E Bridezilla one. Yeah, I mean, some cool covers by Mark Spears. I'm not completely aware of this book. Obviously, I think we know maybe what the popularity is, for kind of necrophiliacs, maybe. This book just came out last week. And with his Monsters Kickstarter, Mark Spears has delivered something special for fans of the freaky. It garnered enough support to become a reality, and splattering of covers was released as a reward for those who supported the campaign. But you knew this as you read our monthly crowdfunded articles, where we highlighted this back in January 2024. They did, I guess. Publisher Keenspot took notice and picked up the publishing rights to get this gorgeous series into comic shops. And seeing this on shelves, it's hard not to be drawn to the series. This is especially the case for the Bridezilla variant, a buxom Bride of Frankenstein front and center. The classic monsters of yesteryear are making a comeback, and fans have been showing their support in a big way on the aftermarket. It seems like, we're getting a lot of reinventing of the monsters that probably first got widely popularized by the Universal films of the 1930s, Frankenstein, Dracula, The Invisible Man, The Mummy, Werewolf of London, and Bride of Frankenstein. And we're seeing, and in the 50s, The Creature from the Black Lagoon. We are seeing those adapted once again in comics. That's been done over and over again, going back to the early 1970s with Marvel's line of Werewolf by Night, Tomb of Dracula, Frankenstein, and The Living Mummy in supernatural thrillers. So let's take a quick look at numbers 11 through 20. And 11 is a Witchblade variant, an homage to X-Men 251. Venomore, this is the first Venom horse, or is it just the Venom horse? Interesting. Graveyard Club #1, the Jenny Frison 1 in 20. Marvel and Amp Disney, What If Donald Duck had become, I think that's just What If Donald Duck had become Wolverine. This is a Scotty Young second print, Virgin variant. Mark Spears Monsters #1, the 1 in 25, Last Slayer variant. Sonic the Hedgehog #73, the Natalie Fordrain cover retailer incentive 1 in 10. Sonic had been hitting the mark with their retailer incentive covers last month. Number 72 was a top 10 seller this month. There are so many speculation books to compete with that the retailer incentive dropped down to the runners up. G.I. Joe #310, a 1 in 10 variant. Last issue's retail incentive was top tier artwork. Fans of Snake Eyes were kicked to jump on this cover. Number 18, New Mutants 98. We know what that is. Number 19, The Moon is Following Us, the Ryan Stegman 1 in 15. That's a new release. And number 20, it's going to pop up every once in a while. And that's Spawn #1. So that's going to do it for the top 10 list. A lot of null related titles. We get a movie, we get an announcement, we get a trailer, and we see that. Green Lantern Keys next week. What do you think? Will Showcase 22 make the list? I don't know. The news of Kyle Chandler playing Hal Jordan, I'm sure we'll have some movement on the market. I'd like to thank you all for stopping by. If you want to, you can take a look at a couple of my other videos here. And this is Jim saying until next time, enjoy your comics.